Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, start offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up on the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dude.
Hey, everybody, let's get this shared out if we could over on X and everywhere else. Would love a huge show tonight. We got Leeroy in the house and should be a good one. Let's make sure we're sharing as much as we can. It's been really slow the last few nights. We need to have a great night tonight, so let's get this thing shared. Thank you. Michelle, if you're not getting sound, back out and come back in.
Check out my buddy Matthew Spear over there at the Dumb Show. Dumbshow.com. Get to see people like yours truly right here. Maybe that's a reason for you to not check it out. But check it out anyway. There's a lot of people better than me on there that a lot better stories. But check them out, dumbshow.com. Matt, take care, buddy. God bless you, everyone.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Matt and my buddy Leeroy in the house.
What is going on, my peeps? Matt, how are you?
Mom, good, dude. Good. Things
good.
Things are good. They're going well. You know, I'm not gonna lie, my friend. Well in the sense that, you know, it is what it is. You know, there's always stress and everything else. You're going through it. You got a lot more stress than I do. But last night we had a really fun night. We had a nice gentleman in the house. I gotta say I'm looking like Joe Rogan for a second, except for the beard and the bald head. But yeah, we had Philip Hamilton in the house last night. He signed the Don't Unfriend Me door, which we got to get everybody else, the hosts and everything, to come on in and do that and sign it. But it was a good night, man. It was fun. He is a great guy. He stayed about an hour after the show because the weather was just absolute dog turds. And he hung out, and it was awesome, and it was just a really cool time. He got a couple shots of the set, so got an angle that I really haven't had before. I love it. Look at that. Isn't that cool?
Yes.
So, yep, he had a good time and a lot of good things. So Philip Hamilton was here last night. We have Brian Cook. He's going to be here on Thursday, which we're excited about. Jessica Lynch was here, or will be here for the 31st at POW, and we also have Damani Felder scheduled for the week after that, and then the older millennial, who is a huge influencer over on Twitter, and we're really excited for him to be here. So two things. One, yes, my beard's dark. I dyed it today, and this is the 24-hour, and it'll be, yeah. So, you know, I realized I don't know that I dye it because of vanity. I think I dye it because it's not full gray. Like if I'm full gray, I'm totally fine with that. But it's super dark here, and I don't like it here. So I just dye it, and it's just a natural thing. I can't wait for the day that it's just all gray, because then I'm like, I'll just let it go, because I think
Well, there's a level of distinction that goes along with that, right? When your beard turns completely gray, I still have like the skunk marks, right? Most of mine is brown, but I have the gray that comes in, and it comes in these nice stripes. But when it goes full gray, you look very wise, right? Do you not look like a sage at that point? Right?
I think so, but you also got to have a tan face, and I'm not tan.
Yeah.
I mean, natural olive. So it's it just comes out and looks a little weird. So usually it's not this dark. I left it in, and I was working on a post. I'm supposed to leave it for 5 minutes, so it never is usually this dark. But I was like looking, I'm like, oh shit, it's 8 minutes. So like I was like, oh crap. So it's gonna be dark for a few days. Just suck it up, folks. Yeah, it's obvious. I really don't care. So here's the thing. I just want to be honest, everybody. Last Monday was really tough for the show. I think we did like $90. Then last night we did like $90. Our goal just got killed. And the reason, Olivia and I've already known why. We cannot have guests on Monday anymore. It has to be Olivia and I, and no guests, no distractions. It's like people come back from the weekend, and I think it just slows the rhythm down of the show. And then last Tuesday, everybody, hi baby. Last Tuesday, everybody just like pitched in, and we made up our deficit. So like we're behind for the week. So we're hoping that we can, everyone could kind of help us out. And tonight would be a night where we could all pitch in and hit goal and just get it done. So Leeroy and I could just focus on the show. I understand things. I understand things are going on. I understand gas prices are going up. I understand that we have income tax. I'm not leaning on anybody. I'm just saying, hey, if we're going to hit it, let's hit it. And let's get that thing crushed. Cause there's nothing, here's the thing. The last thing I'll say about it, people like say like, okay, so why do you got to ask? Okay, well, I'll tell you, because if we don't, we won't. That if you don't bring attention to it, people just forget about it. But the second thing is you put a lot of effort into these shows, and we work on this stuff for a long time. So, it would be simple if we were contracted, but we're not. So therefore it's viewer donations. So kind of at the end, you're sitting there and go, wow, did I not do a good job last night? Did we not do a good job? And that's the first thing you think. And I don't care how old you are. I don't care what you do. But you're always going to have that level of insecurity, and that's the shitty part about it. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Well, there's a big part of it for me that says, "Hey, is what I am bringing to the table, does it hold value?
Right.
Does my opinions a lot of time, or my insights, is that warranting, at least the customer reaction that you would hope for, which again is the donation piece."
Hey, is this working?
I've said this.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. No, do it.
And I've said this before, like, just because I work in the IC doesn't mean that I come with like, oh, I'm just going to start, divulging a whole bunch of secret. No,
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
But what it does do, like what my prior military life, current, and working in the IC for that long, for that many years, what it does give me is a thought process. And a lot of times when we're presented with a problem or a headline, at least Matt and I know to dig deeper to say, well, what are the questions that should be asked from this? And what are is the headline intended to gain a reaction, or is it just being truly informative? So I always balance that kind of thing out. And I wonder if what I bring is of value half the time.
Okay. So I've got like 25, 30 people on, and people are saying they can't hear Rumble. So frustrating. What is it? I don't know what that means. I need very, very specific of what is not working. We don't need this tonight. We so don't need this tonight. I can't hear what you're saying to me. Guys, bear with us. We're going to try to get Rumble working. Just give me a second.
You are good.
Yeah. I hate this, because this is, it's your night. You're here, and this seems to always happen. Amy, we can never hit goal, and with you, we always break. It's just, it's the curse. All right, I'm going to do
no curse on me.
Obviously not, Leeroy.
Bring the game is what I got.
All right, I'm hitting the start stream. Everyone hang tight. Liv, you need to go tell move to new stream. Okay, Leeroy, you are valuable and bring a lot to the show. Yeah, a lot of problems, obviously. So, just saying.
Wow. It's just
Just say,
hurtful.
it's
That's just hurtful.
It's just accurate. All right, we're restarting the stream over. It's not the weather. It's like Twitter was broken last week, and then now this is, and now Rumble's not working, which is frustrating. I'm streaming, everything's showing 5x5 on Rumble, and it shows that you guys were all in here watching it. Black screen, no volume. We're waiting for it to pop up. Just hold on. There it is. Okay, there's audio. Okay, Rumble should be working. Everybody get into Rumble now. Let me know what you see, but it should be working. All right. We got a lot of people on too, Leeroy, so we got to cook. All right, folks. All right, I think we're good, buddy. All right, looks like we're 5x5. Liv? Okay, it's on. All right, folks, donations are on. We're going. Liv. All right, so Olivia is changing the donation to 500 because that's what we need to make up for, and we're going to try for it. So whatever we can do, I might even be interested in doing a jacket drawing or something. I don't know, man. We need to get going. But I don't want to worry about that. I want to do the show. So let's rock and roll. All right, so a couple things. Robert Petrowski says, with Brad Collar, we're here, can't see or hear. You should be now. All right. Okay, good. All right, so let's rock and roll. So I wanted to do a couple things. You've seen this stuff going on with all of the personalities on social media. You've seen Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, and everybody's fighting.
I have.
Like, dude, you're a connoisseur of influencers. You watch a lot of stuff like I do. You absorb a lot of content, a lot of written content. Well, at least. But so, what's your take on this, man? I mean, this doom and gloom. Like, just let me just set up the question and the premise of this is I look at the relationships that we've built over 5.5 years, and there's not one person we built a relation. Now, maybe there's some fans that don't watch anymore, and that happens because, let's face it, I was confrontational with the fans a lot for the first 3 years, and I had to learn that they're not my enemy, no matter if they disagree or not, but that's just a growing phase. But when it comes to the people who've interacted and been on this show, via conference, via in person, via, even by phone, we have built like lifelong relationships with these people. I mean, I don't know if you saw what Barry did, but do you remember when we were talking about the Iwo Jima statue and the Bradford exchange and all this, and Trump had one, and we were like, oh yeah, we gotta get that. That's so cool. Dude, Barry just sent this last night and sent him and his wife, Shelley, sent the Iwo Jima statue and said, here you go, just for no reason other than, we love the show. I know, dude. And I'm like, what the? So, like, how can these people not get along? What happens where they decide, you know what, this person is my enemy. They're no longer my brother. And I'm confused. So what's your take on this shit, dude?
So I think a lot of it comes down to, there are, and we've talked about this on the show before, how we've encountered several, say, right-leaning Democrats or left-leaning Republicans. There's a mishmash of people in there. And when you're running a podcast, you tend to get a lot of, it's almost like information overload.
Yeah.
And specifically for the people who are in the hot seat, for the viewers who are watching the show, please enjoy the show, right? But for the people who are sitting in these seats, for the people who are interviewing, and for the people who are being interviewed, that it tends to be a little bit of an emotional exchange at times.
At times.
And so for the Tucker Carlsons, for the Megyn Kellys, for the Candace Owens, and like I said, I would not consider Candace Owens to be, a reliable source of information, but what I would say is that because emotions, it's something that drives everybody. And the moment any of these guys, even though they were all technically listed, I suppose you and I would probably agree that at one point or another, all of them tend to, quote unquote, lean right, or at least that's what it looked like superficially. But when you inject a little a little disagreement. Oh, I'm not sure about this.
Right.
And combine that with emotion. Next thing you know, you're faced with the situation where it's the same thing that happens on the left, which is the conversations devolve into, oh, Tucker's just an idiot. Next thing you know, you've got this name calling thing that goes back and forth. Rather than talking about the policies, they attack each other.
Yeah.
And that's not something that I want to do. I would rather say, look, if we're in disagreement about something, that's fine. We can do that. But it doesn't have to devolve into, well, you're just an idiot. That doesn't solve anything.
How many of these folks do you actually think believe what they discuss every single night? Like when you look at Candace Owens, she was a lifelong liberal Democrat. She was progressive. She hated Trump. You look at Tucker Carlson, he was never a conservative. He was he flirted with libertarianism, but to a point of like Rand Paul libertarianism, all drugs are okay, no regulation whatsoever, just, isolationism and was strange.
Right.
And I listen to these folks and I don't, even Joe Rogan, he's now he's going to church and everything else. But if you listened to him 3 years ago, he wasn't an atheist, but I think he was just, a pragmatist who just didn't follow dogmatic principles. He believed in aliens and believed in, the pharaohs, and there was no way that anyone could have made the pyramids without space technology. Some really wacko shit. CJ Jenkins donated $41.69. Hope this helps getting this party going. Thank you, CJ. That is huge. That's
CJ.
10% of the goal right there. It was close enough. 8% is huge. We love you. Thank you,
CJ. You're awesome. Thank you.
So I want to show you this because here's a voice that we haven't heard from, Jeremy Boren, the founder of Daily Wire, and he had left the Daily Wire, and obviously Ben is running it. But it's a 5-minute video, but I think it really puts the perspective where it belongs, which is, what are we doing? Are we a soap opera now? Is this the tabloids, or are we in the business of providing the most accurate and honest assessment of information that's readily available, with discernment, with logic, and with helping disseminate these times to a very, very confused citizenry of this country? Is that our job, or are we Rome? And are you not entertained? Are we in the lions and the pits and Christians? And this is an amazing sentiment. So listen to this. Matt, we should get cooking. What are we cooking? Money. We got to hit goal. It's not always about money, but tonight, Jesse,
let's cook.
We got.
Yeah, Mr. White. Yes, science.
All right, let's rock and roll. Here we go. Watch this. Jeremy Boren. Boring, but he's not boring. But this is good. Watch this. I think you'll like this there, Leeroy. Watch this.
It's been exactly 1 year since I left the Daily Wire, and a lot has changed in our country and in the conservative movement in that short amount of time. America is fighting a war in Iran with the theocratic Shiite regime that's ruled that country for the last 47 years. American servicemen have already lost their lives in the effort to degrade that regime's nuclear and ballistic missile ambitions, to free the broader Middle East from the largest state sponsor of terror, and to strategically weaken China and Russia. In our own country, there's another conflict raging. This one is rhetorical, not physical. It's the so-called podcast wars, and it's pitting many people I know personally, against one another and turning former friends and allies into seemingly irreconcilable enemies. The political coalition that ascended Donald Trump to the presidency twice in a decade has been shattered, and the future of the GOP and the MAGA movement seems up for grabs. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. His widow and the organization that he built, an organization central to Republican political success in 2024, are being ruthlessly targeted by what I call the grift industrial complex. Stalwarts like Dennis Prager and Jordan Peterson have been sidelined, leaving an enormous vacuum in the moral and intellectual architecture of American public life. According to a public survey from last month, 45% of young American conservatives say Jews are a threat to their way of life. Not Israel, Jews. Not young people, young American conservatives. 45%.
I love that distinction, right? Remember, it used to be, I hate interrupting videos, but I think this one's important. So if you want to chime, let me know. But we used to make the distinction, it's not it's not the Jews, it's Israel. You know, it's the government. Then it became, okay, well, it is the government but it's Netanyahu. Okay, it's not just Netanyahu, it's Zionism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not Zionism, it's the Jews. Here's the thing, folks, it's always been the Jews. And the people who have been espousing this have always made it about the Jews. Kevin Bernard, donate $25. Let go my ears. I know what I'm doing. Thanks. Thanks, Leeroy. Let go my ears. I know what I'm doing. Is that? I don't know if that's a quote.
I think that is a fellatio reference.
Is it?
I think I
because I usually hold the ponytail. Anyway, so I love the fact that he's just call a spade, right? Like, let's get out there. The moment that we can stop calling this
right
anti-Zionism or anti-Rothschild or anti-Israeli Judeo-Christian ethics, whatever it is, can we just be honest that this is about Jews as much as it is about Arabs? Can we just be honest that it's not necessarily about an entire country? It is a group of people who we are targeting here. So that was interesting. Here's the rest.
Trust in our history, our national narrative, our institutions, they're all at historic lows. Meanwhile, every divide in public life seems to be widening. The divide between young and old, between men and women, Catholic and Protestant, left and right. Our social fabric is ripping asunder. Birth rates are collapsing. Social media is rewiring young minds in ways that we can't even begin to understand. An entire generation of Americans feels they were born too late to participate in that American dream, owning a home, starting a family. They feel that the rungs of the ladder that their parents climbed have been sawed off. And of course, every day, we're being told that our labor, our creativity, our intellect are about to be replaced by the very machines that we've built. It all feels hopeless, and it's meant to. The politics of anger and despair, the feeling of isolation and atomization, the loss of common culture and the decline in trust in the structures and traditions.
You want to know where Charlie Kirk is? Charlie Kirk is living inside of about 5 or 6 people right now. And they have got to find their voice. I love that Jeremy's coming back because he is ridiculously good. And Jordan Peterson, he reminds me of quite a bit, but Nick Freitas, people like that, the Mike Rose, the Michael Knowles, they need to fill this. We talked about it last night. You can't fill Charlie Kirk's shoes, but if you don't attempt to, someone else will come in and fill that void, and that's what we have right now. This is where you get the Nick Fuentes, the Candace Owens, the Tucker Carlson. Is you had 10 million people leave Charlie Kirk and go, I need a new home. And some went to Crowder, some went here, some went to Bongino, and then you had the Bongino army, which also needed. You had probably a good 15 to 20 million listeners try to find a new home overnight. And that vacuum was filled up by these grifters and these people who are black pills who are dividing this movement. Here's the rest, and then Leeroy, it's yours on the back end.
That undergird our society. These things are not random. They're the tried and true tools of demagogues and despots, and they have been from time immemorial. There's another war playing out in American public life, and this one's far more insidious than the podcast wars. It may even be more existential than the war in Iran.
Robert Petrowski donated $17.76, maybe down, but only for a little bit. Love you. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert.
It's a war for the future of the country. It's a war for our freedom. It's a war for our very souls. If the war feels a bit one-sided, well, that's because it is. It's being waged primarily from the shadows by radicals and reactionaries, both left and right, all competing over who will get the pleasure of ruling over us. They're counting on us to believe that America is finished, that everything we've accomplished as a nation was a sin, that everything we've been told about our nation is a lie. They want us to surrender, to give up on the country we have so they can remake it in their own twisted image. They want us angry, and they want us afraid. And we have plenty of reason to be angry, and plenty of reason to be afraid too, make no mistake. But that's not all we have. We have something else that they're not counting on, something more powerful than that anger or that fear. We have agency. We have free will. We have the power to make decisions and to act. Even if we've been wronged, we know that victimhood is a trap, and we don't have to be defined by it. We can chart our own future, build on the best hard-earned lessons of the past, and pass down to our children a country more free, more prosperous, and more virtuous than the one we inherited. The people feeding you this steady diet of conspiracy and anger and despair, they believe in the future. They believe in the future they plan to build on the ashes of the country they hope you will abandon if you don't believe in the future.
Oh.
You see, that's the thing about the future. The future belongs to those who build it. That's why I've created this show. I'm a man with a point of view, but this show is for anyone who believes America is still worth fighting for. We're going to sit down every week with the artists and the visionaries, the newsmakers and the troublemakers who are shaping what comes next. Together, we're going to explore the stories that the black pillars and the doom scrollers don't want you to know. We're going to look at the problems facing our country and our culture square in the eye, and we're going to find solutions together. Solutions that don't require giving up or forsaking what's made us a great nation. We're going to reject the premise that America is over, or that the West is over, that Christianity is over, or that humans ourselves are over. God didn't make man to be replaced by machines, and he didn't give us freedom so we could subject ourselves again to the yoke of slavery, not out of fear, not out of anger, and not out of despair. He called us to optimism, and he did it from his very first command: be fruitful and multiply and subdue the earth. That's a command to hope. It's a command to love, and it's a command to fight. And that's what we're going to do together. Welcome to the Jeremy Boring Show.
Nice.
Pretty good intro. I love his couch.
Nice.
I never saw it, but it was leather and it was all an American flag, and it was, oh God, what a killer couch. Your thoughts on that, dude?
I will watch it, and someday I hope that you and I end up being guests. I will say that he is spot on. All of the topics that we have covered here over the last 5 years of this show, and they range anywhere from inflation to abortion to gun control, crime, immigration, gas prices, and war. When you take those individually, right, you can formulate an honest opinion. You can say, oh,
Sure.
well, maybe not all war is bad, but certainly inflation to some degree is bad. Gas prices are out of control. Should inflation or immigration, below a certain percentage or below a certain, if it's done in a certain way, is that a good thing, right?
Right.
And when you take all of those individual puzzle pieces and put them together, you end up with a policy, several policies. And he is spot on. A lot of people don't know this, but ever since 1880, every public opinion poll, every decade, when Americans vote on that, when they are surveyed of, hey, how was the prior decade? And what do you feel about America's future? Every public opinion poll since 1880 shows that Americans think that America is in decline, but that's not true.
That's right.
And he brings up a really great point. I mean, when we're talking about those hot button issues, the issues that average Americans will sit around the dining room table to discuss.
Thomas Austin donated $51.99. They must turn from evil and do good. They must seek peace and pursue it. Peter 3:11. Thank you so much, Thomas. I'm very sorry to interrupt
Thomas.
you. Yes, the huge number. Go ahead, buddy.
Thomas is amazing. And so when we're talking about those dinner conversations, right? Immigration, inflation, that kind of thing. When we're talking about that, it's easy to get sidetracked and to let the conversation devolve into emotion. And I think that's where he was talking about where a lot of the infighting comes from. Because when we're talking about all these separate podcasters and we're talking about, Tucker versus Candace or Dave Rubin versus Megan, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. I care about laying out the original premise of the crime conversation, of gas prices, of wars, and let's logic the thing through, remove emotion, and let's determine what is and is not the appropriate steps.
Yeah.
So I'm all for that. I'm going to add one more point to this.
Yeah.
There was this really amazing movie, and it was about Alan Turing. It was called The Imitation Game. There is a scene where they break the Enigma machine, and two of the smartest people in Great Britain are fighting over whether or not to inform Great Britain's high command that they're aware of a ship attack. And Alan Turing says, we can't tell anyone. And he gets hit in the face. The guy who's opposing him knows that there's several thousand people that are about to die. And Alan is like, you know why people commit violence, acts of violence? Why do people do that? Because it feels good. But sometimes we can't do what feels good. We have to do what's logical.
Yeah.
And that's how you get through these problems.
Yeah, I think I can put my finger on this better than most. I think people are afraid to be themselves. And they have listened to their audience so much, and they feel like it's a constant building block where the foundation of your audience, you're curtailing them and grooming them almost to be a certain way. And when you disappoint them, you see that when you lose 10 people, it may be gargantuan when you have 100 core audience. But if you lose 10 people and have 1 million core audience, it doesn't matter. But what I can tell you is there were times that we lost 50 people watching our show at once who were just like, I'm done, especially during the stolen election stuff and J6. They just said, forget it. I'm not going to listen to this anymore. I know the election was stolen. I know J6 was righteous. I know it was a rigged thing. And some of those people have come back and said, I'm sorry. And some of those people haven't. And that's fine. But when you see 100,000 people leave a 1 million listenership, there's corporate sponsors to play here. There are multi-millionaires not billionaires, but there's millionaires invested into these people. And the pressure is insurmountable. And what these people have done is they fell to the same mistakes that legacy media did. They became beholden to the advertisers and the investors and betrayed their audience. And I get asked that question. Like, I went through our income tax and I looked at what people did. I tried to explain to Leeroy a little bit of what this looks like, but this, I'm going to expand on this. If you go in and you look at podcasts and you look at listenership, annual generated revenue, a really solid top 10% podcast will make $2 to $5 annually per listener. And that doesn't seem like a lot of money, but if you have 100,000 listeners, that's good. But that isn't what happens. It's you have 1,000 listeners and you make $2 to $5 and you make $2,000 to $5,000 annually on that podcast. That's just a decent top 10% podcast. Then you've got the podcasts that are really middle of the road. These are top echelon, top 2.5% in the world. And these range from $25 to $75 per listener. And that is some really good money. And these people have 20,000, 50,000 listeners. And this is what happens. But when you get to the level of Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro, their average listener, because of all the advertising, all the merch, all the donation capabilities, all the extra stuff, the clubs and everything else, their average is $250 to $500 per listener. And now you're talking millions upon millions of dollars. With an audience of 200 roughly, and that's with Rumble, that's Twitter, that's Facebook consistently. And some nights it's more, like right now it's more. But that's consistently what we have according to the live audience. We're moving into the 750 annually per listener range. Those numbers are unbelievable. That is, you guys don't understand. If Ben Shapiro and Joe Rogan and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson saw that this show, how many people believe in it and how many people invest in it and buy shirts from it and donate to it and watch it religiously, to me, like, that's more important than any listenership. And the one thing I will stand true, and I know Leeroy and I have discussed this, is we will never sell out to a sponsor. So we sell our listenership to somebody. And I believe what we're seeing right now is that you have multiple groups who are struggling to find out what happens in 2028. And they don't know if they're Team MAGA. They don't know if they're Team Neocon. They don't know if they're Team, blue collar conservative. And they don't know what to do. And they are hedging their bets and they're gambling their future audiences on these wild, grandiose visions for where they think America is going to be. And to me, I think it is one of the largest travesties, because after this, we don't have a media anymore. We don't have legacy media. We don't have cable news anymore. We can't trust the three channels. We can't trust the newspaper. We can't trust these digital sites like Drudge that we used to trust. That leaves these people. And now you can't trust any of them. It's terrifying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
It's
well, for years and years, most of the right-leaning podcasters, they were all on the same page. They would attack things like socialism, communism. They would explain why things like that were bad. They would explain, what inflation truly is. And somehow, over the last 2-3 years, right, a lot of that has stopped. And instead of addressing the big topics, like confronting the lunacy that is the left, instead of doing that more consistently, we started this infighting thing. And I chose, Matt and I have discussed this before, I chose to ignore it. I don't care. I care about addressing the ills of the left. And sometimes, and criticizing all government. I don't care if Trump is part of it or not.
Yeah,
if he has done something that I truly disagree with, I'm going to voice it. I'm going to tell you this was a bad call.
Right.
There was a post I made the other day that said, you know what? Maybe I'm going to make an admission here. Maybe kicking all of this off with Iran, right before Americans go into tax season, maybe not the best call as far as timing, because now all of these headlines are floating around about how many billions of dollars are being spent on the Iranian campaign. No matter how noble or not noble it might be, that doesn't matter. When you're talking about the dollars and cents that are being dropped on Iran versus a single mom in Des Moines, Iowa, who is filling out her tax forms going, what? 50%, 40%, what am I doing? You're not making a good case for yourself at that point. So I am pretty consistent. I like to criticize all government entities where it's applicable.
Yeah, I think the reason why he did it now is because he knows what's going to happen in tax time. Yeah. And he is planning on ending this right around April 15th. That's the plan. Of course, there's going to be extended proxy targets, and we will be arming other countries to do a lot of the groundwork that we're not going to do. But essentially, the United States influence in this should be done within the next 30 days or so. That's the goal. And that's perfect timing around tax season, when people are going to see the big, beautiful bill go into full effect. We should see a lot of return, and we're expecting that. And that's what we've heard from our accountant, is that the returns are higher than normal, and the highest that she has seen in 6 years for most people. So that's good. This is a great segue. I only want to spend a couple more minutes on this, because the entire opening, this was the big heavy for the show. I really wanted to challenge people. But here is Shapiro on Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly has been calling Mark Levin a micro penis and saying that he has a small phallus. And I'm just going, lady, what are you doing? You're just like Candace. You're exactly like her. You were never a Republican. You were a liberal on Fox. You were a liberal during 2016, and you grifted your way into Trump. And now that Trump is going to sunset, you're going to go ahead and try to fracture whatever base. You are not this person, and I love her. I love Megyn Kelly. I think she's beautiful. I think she's smart. I love the lady. But damn it, I am so frustrated. Here's Ben Shapiro on this, and then I'm going to show you a spoof that was done by someone we've had on the show regularly, who does a Megyn and Tucker mockery of a video that you and I watched last Thursday. Here's this.
Grift is the priority. The clicks are the priority. I stand by every single word I said at that TPUSA speech. There are an enormous group of people in the commentariat, an enormous number of people in this space, whose chief desire is for fame and clicks. That is what they care about. And so their principles morph over time. Now, Listen, I don't think Pierce's principles ever morphed. I don't think Pierce had any principles. I think his principle was always clicks.
Wow.
I think that for Meghan, maybe she had principles at one point. I'm not sure anymore. Because again, this would all stop very easily if, for example, Megyn Kelly had the stones to actually just condemn Candace Owens for what she's been doing. That's been my critique for months, and she still hasn't done it. She said she would die before she did it. That's her principle. Okay. All right. And again, as for Piers, I'm still bewildered as to why Piers is so pissed off. Seriously. Stop being a pissy little bitch. Seriously. It's really kind of ridiculous.
Maybe you shouldn't have handed him the Constitution and the Bill of Rights at his show those many years ago and snubbed him. But even Ben Shapiro now is name calling and dragging. And who are you to? I can't believe I'm going to say this about Megyn Kelly, because I think anyone worth their salt should call out Candace. Don't denounce her. Call her out. Right. Call her out for being. Frank Wood donated $50. Doing my part. May I call in? Yes, and just let us get through Frank. This quick segment, Frank. Guys, hit the like button, please. We need a bunch of likes. We had sub 100 2 nights in a row. Can't do it. So hit the like button. If you can't donate, it's fine. But Frank, give me just a couple minutes. But the whole point of this is like, you don't have to denounce Candace Owens. You don't have to castigate her to, a solitary island of shame where she's going to be stoned ceremonially by natives. But what you can say is you shouldn't listen to Candace Owens on this topic because she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. And there are no receipts. She makes grandiose claims with absolutely no evidence. She follows behind the I'm just asking questions, and she uses veiled conspiratorial theories to get people sucked in to wait until you see what I have tomorrow, which is nothing, which is why she had to stop her Erica Kirk miniseries of literally calling Erica Kirk an assassin, a floozy, an Epstein Island pusher, a child sex trafficker. Hold on to that. We're almost there. So I want you to see this because you were here and this is your segment at the end here. Meghan and Tucker spoof when they were talking about languages and how it's like witchcraft. And when Tucker did this interview, I showed it to you. Here's the spoof. It's really good. Enjoy this.
And so you have these people, you have Mark Levin, you have Bibi Netanyahu. They just keep saying these things over and over again. It's an incantation. It's witchcraft.
Yes.
Basically witchcraft is what it is. It's not goofy. It's not weird stuff. It's witchcraft. That's how words work. You repeat them over and over. It's like a spell. Repeating words over and over again. It's like Elphaba from Wicked. She was the Wicked Witch of the West.
Right, yes.
And what these people are doing in my country are becoming the Wicked Witch of Western hegemony. That's what's happening.
That's what they do.
It's basically Elphaba from Wicked. She was a witch.
I mean,
so if you care to find me, look towards the Western Wall. Tell them how I'm defying sanity. I'm flying high, defying sanity. Okay, let's bring it back to some domestic. Wait, it's the best part. Ready? Wow. And so that's what's going on. It's not weird stuff at all.
Yeah, no, it's not weird at all. All right, well, thanks for being here. Welcome back anytime.
Hello?
Hey.
Hello, you there?
Hey, it's me.
Hey, honey, you okay? Something wrong? What happened? Meg?
I f***ed up.
Tucker did his whole thing again on the show?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't know what to do.
I think at this point you just have to double down, baby.
Yeah, I know. Oh,
okay? You got this. I'll see you at home, okay?
Stupid. Okay.
Oh, my God.
My next guest is Carrie Brigitte Baller.
Oh, my God.
You're pretty accurate, right? I mean, dude, the guy's
so
got some pipes. He's got some pipes he can sing.
Oh, God, he hit those high notes, man.
Defying sanity. I mean, guy must be a gelding.
But doesn't that like feed into exactly what we were just saying? Like, rather than addressing the big issues, like these people have to like go after each other with knives out, and it's like, just, like, there was this. What's the name of that movie? F1 the movie with Brad Pitt.
Oh yeah, with Brad Pitt. Yeah. No, it's on the list.
Oh, it's so good. There's a scene where they have like a head Ferrari mechanic, a head Porsche mechanic, and then the guy who's working on Brad Pitt's team. And at the time in the movie, these guys are just like absolutely tanking. They're doing terrible. And so during the course of the interview, this guy is like, well, what do you think of the team? What do you think of the team? And like each one of the Porsche and the Ferrari team, we're looking at Brad Pitt's lead mechanic, and like, Mr. Ferrari, what do you think of the team? He's like, we don't.
Yeah.
In other words, we don't think of him at all. And I wish all of us could get to that point and say, look, whatever your attraction is with Candace, attractive lady, right?
Sure.
And she can drone on for hours.
A Nubian delight.
Gorgeous. Yeah. But here's the thing.
That shit
like
crazy.
When you start having to connect some of those logical dots together to form some sort of coherent thought process, you're like, a lot of that just, it's pixie dust, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, that was some weird shit.
And so when we're talking about Candace, I just wonder, why does she have the audience that she does? And it's fine that she does. I don't disparage her for it. I think a lot of her allure is how she looks, and she can articulate very well.
No, she can't. No, she can't. Dude, she can't pronounce words. Like, it's bad, dude. Like, I'm just saying.
Some of them, yeah.
It's rough, dude. It's rough.
I've seen some of them. But you get my point, is that she's easy on the eyes. And
yeah, she has a presentation style that draws people in. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Very professional. And so it's like, which is better? Which is easier for the people on the right to digest? Is it this conspiratorial crap, right, for lack of a better term? Or do you just want updates on news, logical arguments, and battling actual leftist ideas? Or do you want the conspiracy crap?
I think they want the pretentiousness too, man, because that's what a lot of this is it's egotism, dude. Like, anyone who disagrees with her, she's like, F you, you douche, you're a horrible, and she just like she's like Laura Loomer. She just goes for the jugular and she pulls out some text. You know what they remind me of is J. Edgar Hoover. Like, they have this inside baseball where they all collect dirt on each other just in case one of them turns on each other. I mean, it is a toxic environment, dude. It's bad. And I'm trying not to cuss. I'm really trying. I mean, it's one of the pieces of feedback I've gotten from our recent guests is, dude, you've got the articulation. You don't need to cuss. Don't cuss. It draws people away. So we're not going to cuss. I don't care. But it's just so angry and so Machiavellian, man. I can't stand it.
It's emotional. It's overly emotional.
You're going to get pissed at this. So Tucker Carlson, you're not going to like this. Tucker Carlson comes out and he's like, listen, here's the thing. I already know what you're going to say, but he goes, hey, guess what? I don't, oh, shit. Frank, sorry, I cussed. Frank, you wanted to call in. You can do that right now real quick. We're just going to finish this one segment. Tucker Carlson came out and said, listen, the CIA has been going through my texts and texts that I have been having communications with Iran.
Why are you texting people in Iran?
Exactly. And why would you expect that the American government would not? First of all, it's the NSA, not the CIA, big guy. Number one. But that's the thing that just blows me away. And so I'm going to play you this, and I'm going to show you a few things. And Brandon Tatum puts it into, listen, Tucker's in some trouble. If you're communicating with IRGC commanders, any form of communication right before a conflict, he bought a home in Qatar. We know the money that comes in is coming from Arab dollars. I mean, and he has literally made a 180 degree on Jews. None of that is just happenstance and organic. That is absolute determinable change in one's entire platform at an age when people don't do that ideologically. You don't find bigots all of a sudden have a moment of clarity and be like, you know what? I love black people. It just doesn't happen. Right. Or, I'm open to homosexuality all of a sudden when I've been against it my entire life. Very rarely do those moments of
like Robert
of
Byrd, right? Like we're
right,
supposed to believe that Robert Byrd went from this Klan member all of a sudden.
right.
Oh no!
Oh
You know
yeah,
what? I
and
was
Strom
wrong all those
Thurmond and
years.
George Wallace. Right, we like to hang them blackies. Now it's like we love to hug those blackies, not with rope anymore, but with our arms and our hands. Frank, you wanted to say something, buddy. What do you got for us?
How you doing, Frank?
Hey, Leeroy. How you doing, buddy?
Good, sir. How are you?
You know,
Hey, Frank, I'm doing okay too. You know.
Oh, you're always doing okay.
Oh, okay.
Dude.
Thanks, buddy. Go ahead.
Hey, are you aware of a guy named Royce White? Who's running for Senate in Washington? I'm sorry, not Washington. Minnesota.
It sounds familiar. Royce White sounds familiar.
No, I don't know that name. I'm sorry.
I don't know him, but the name sounds familiar. Is what I'm saying.
He was an NBA player.
Yep.
I think he did MMA for a while. But the guy is awesome. I shot him a text earlier and told him about you. Okay. You two need to hook up.
Is he black? He's black, isn't he?
Yes.
We've already reached our black quota for the year. We already have one black token black guy. That's Damani. I don't know if I can put 2 on the show. I'll try. Yes, of course. We would love him. I know exactly who he is. Once you said NBA, absolutely. I know who he is. Yes, that's where I know the name from. So did he...
Damani
What?
I didn't hear you, Frank.
I've been on to him for the last 2 months.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, this guy speaks truth to power. He is unbelievable.
Good.
And I think you two could have a conversation that would be absolutely awesome. And I know you would love him as much as you love Damani.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's get him on. You said you texted him. Did you message him or did you have a cell phone?
I don't have a cell phone.
Okay.
I hit him on X and told him about you.
Okay.
And I said, you two need to hook up. You need to somehow get together, figure out what it's going to take for you two to talk to each other. And I'm telling you, dude, it is going to be epic.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I know this in my heart. It will be an epic conversation because you guys, once you talk to him, you will understand what I'm saying.
I trust you. So here's the thing. I want to let you guys, both of you, I didn't have a chance. Leeroy and I probably should have had a 20-minute meeting before the show. But little inside baseball. I had a whistleblower reach out to me in Virginia from the Front Royal episode that I did. I did a little 3-minute spot on the election for the chairman for Republican National Committee. And they barred people from coming in, and then they cut the entire electorate out. 500 people, and it was 19 votes. Well, a whistleblower reached out because she saw it. She called me and she goes, "Hi, is this an Unfriend Me show?" And I'm anonymous, and she didn't want to give me her name because the sheriff there's reciprocity. They are going after and making people's lives miserable. She said her home has been broken into and vandalized. She believes that the police department is corrupt. I mean, there's some really bad shit going on in this
What
area
is going on in Virginia?
Dude, don't even get me started. So all of a sudden I get an email from the person who reached out to me, and I'm not even going to give you her name, but she goes, "Listen, I've got the chairman who is running, who lost by 19 votes. He wants to come onto your show." So he's coming on. Then I get Breitbart reaching out to me, where the original article came from, through her. And she goes, "You need to speak to this guy," who I was on the phone with right before the show. And this person is doing, I think, with the Washington Examiner as well. I'm not sure which newspaper, but I was on the phone with him for 45 minutes and he's telling me all this stuff. And like, this is, so guys, we're getting a lot of people reaching out to the show. This is how it's growing. This is how it's expanding. So stuff like this is what happens. And you viewers watch other shows and you have great relationships with these other hosts. Get them on. I've got 2 major top 50 podcasts that were introduced to us by Philip last night that we're trying to get on. Things are growing. It is spinning. Olivia is super busy. We're booked till April, end of April now. We're going into May. So To answer your question, Frank, yes, we want that. And you helping us do that and others is what we're looking for. So if you know people and they want to come on or you think they'll be great, get them on here. And it's not just the big names. I want the small names too. I want people who are trying to do this. I want podcasters who are unknown. I want them on the show. Because we can help them and other people aren't helpful. But look at Damani. Damani reaches out and goes, dude, I'm coming on each month. I'm like, done. He's like, will you come on my show each month? Yes. This is Damani Felder. Are you kidding me? So things are happening. And Frank, just to attest what you're saying and confirm what you're saying is, yes, we need more of that. So if you can get him, let me know. And if you have any information, give it to Olivia.
I will do the best that I can. I don't have information at this point because all I can tell you is I've been watching the guy for the last 2 to 3 months, and I'm telling you, he's on InfoWars. He does a fill-in on Sunday nights, Eastern time from 7 to 9.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, the first time I saw him, I fell in love with the guy. Just the way he looks at things and his aspect of the way politics works and everything else. Dude, I'm telling you, you two are it would be like you and Damani Felder. Okay?
All right. I'm sold. Frank, I'm sold. I'm sold.
It would be the same relationship. I promise you.
All right. The heavens have parted. I feel the holy light. I'm converted. I am worshiping the altar of Frank. Bring it on. Let's go. All right, Frankie, I love you. I got to go. Thanks, buddy.
All right, man.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. See ya. Someone said Matt dyed his beard. I already outed myself. I've got nothing to hide, of course. But the thing is I only have to dye my beard like every 3 months. So you know what? It's pretty good. Okay. So I don't need your shit or stuff. Here is the clip of Tatum, and then this is yours on Tucker. I want to get your thoughts on like what is there's espionage charges that could take place, aiding and abetting the enemy. I mean, they could go into treason. I mean, there's a lot of things that this isn't good. And remember, Iran was already we don't send. You can't even ship to Apple. Apple can't ship phones to Iran. They're embargoed in a lot of ways. So they're a blacklisted country. And if you're communicating with them, that's not a good thing. Here is Officer Tatum. Watch this.
He going to hell. He going to hell if he don't change his life. This is one of the most manipulative people that I've ever seen in my life. This fool says, it's okay to talk to people. I could talk to anybody. That's not the problem. It's not against the law. Nobody would care if you were just talking to anybody. Well, you know, during wartime, dissent. It's not about dissent. Fool, you're talking to people that we're at war with.
JD Stillwell donated $20, puts us at 206. Folks, usually we're going for 300. We're trying to do 500 tonight. We were $200 short last night, and we just got killed on donations with having Philip in and the weather and just it was just a good conversation, but we just didn't have a chance to really help with donations. If you were looking to help the show out and you're kind of holding on to it, tonight's the night. We need some help. We really, really, really need to hit it. So help us out if you can. We're doing good. We have 200 right now. We're going for 5. Here's the rest.
Anxious with. They're an adversary to the United States of America, and they want to kill us, and we end up going to war with them. And you were talking to leaders and people in the country before we went to war, Tucker. You're not gaslighting smart people. If I was somehow talking to, I don't know, talking to somebody in Afghanistan, leadership, I've interviewed the president. And then I'm talking to them before the war instigated. Of course, the government is going to check and make sure that I'm not doing nothing nefarious, especially Tucker Carlson, who's a traitor to America. He hates America. He does. Roll it.
Boom. You know.
Yeah. Wow. It's like if only somebody was saying this for 3 years, Leeroy.
Right.
Welcome to the party, pal.
we were talking about this at the beginning of the show, but yet when we were talking about people like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and Piers Morgan, just because these people ended up on Fox at one point, we all assume that they're conservatives who lean right, and that's not always the case. What we have to realize is that at that point in their career, they're serving an audience. And then when you peel Fox away from them, and they're left to their own devices, that's when they'll tell you who they truly are. So while Tucker, working under Fox, had this veneer of conservatism, yeah, I think that's a spot on analysis. I think that Officer Tatum hit it up right in the head. Like, why? What makes you think it's a wise choice? It with doing what you do, knowing that that information is going to get out there, and somehow you think it's a wise choice to converse with the people of the leadership of Iran. Like, why would you do that? That is nuts to me.
Well, the only go ahead. No, go. Sorry.
No, that's all I had.
The only reason you do it is the exact same reason why Joe Kent resigned today. And I just received a message from U.S. Marshals in Florida. Hi, guys. We're covering it now. So I just Instagram. They said, "What do you think about Joe Kent?" I'm going to answer it right now. We're going to talk about it because this is really important. So let's do that. Joe Kent. I don't know much about Joe Kent. I know that he is a father. I know he has two boys. I know he's a husband. I know he's a retired Green Beret, combat veteran, Gold Star husband, director of the National Counterterrorism director. And I know that he has some interesting relationships, but my job is to tell you not only the truth, but tell you what I think. So I'm going to do it. And I'm going to read you his letter of resignation, and then I'm going to give you the straight poop. And I spent a lot of time on this today. And I spent some time on this because I'm not a big fan of what this guy did. So let's talk about it. It says, President Trump, after much reflection, I have decided. Did you want to help me read this when on the second page, Leeroy? Can you see that okay, or do you want me to go ahead?
Sure. No, I can do it.
I'll do the first page, and then you can read the second, and we'll share.
Good.
After much reflection, I have decided to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center effective today. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. Really? Because that's I don't know. I think I beg to differ, but we'll go ahead and talk about that in a second. I suppose.
Bullshit.
I cannot in good pressure. It's okay. Threat to our nation. And it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby.
Bullshit.
I support the values and the foreign policies that you campaigned on in 2024. He ran on peace through strength in 2024, by the way. And if you knew anything about President Trump, he talked about Iran way 1986 in regards to this. Kat Alkire donated $5. Thank you, Kat. We appreciate you. Love you both together. You know what? I do too. I enjoyed.
We love being together.
More than you know. Tell you what. I support the values of the foreign policies. Until June of 2025, you understood that the wars in the Middle East were a trap that robbed America of the precious lives of our patriots and depleted the wealth and prosperity of our nation. In your first administration, you understood better. How condescending, by the way. This is the President of the United States, dude. Your letter of resignation should be, I serve at the pleasure of the President of the United States. And here is my formal resignation if he should ask for it. Depleted the wealth and prosperity of our nation. In your first administration, you understood better than any modern president how to decisively apply military power without getting us drawn into never-ending wars. You demonstrated this by killing Qasem Soleimani and by defeating ISIS. Okay. Here is the rest of Mr. Verbal Kent. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
There you go.
Can you see this okay?
Yeah, this is good.
Okay.
Early in this administration, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your America First platform and sowed pro-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran. This echo chamber was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States, and that should you strike now, that there was a clear path, clear path to a swift victory. This was a lie, and is the same tactic that Israelis used to draw us into a disastrous Iraq war that cost our nation the lives of thousands of our best men and women. We cannot make this mistake again. Yeah, if you could blow it up a little, sorry. As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times, as a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife Shannon in a war manufactured by Israel, I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people nor justifies the cost of American lives. I pray that you will reflect upon what we are doing in Iran and who we are doing it for. In time for bold action is now. You can reverse course and chart a new path for our nation, or you can allow us to slip further towards decline and chaos. You hold the cards. It was an honor to serve in your administration and to serve our great nation. Signed, Joe Kent.
Okie dokie. All right. So, of course, I'm going to do some digging because that's what I do.
What?
Just a little bit of diggy. I'll take one, you take two, I'll take three, and you take four. Cool.
Yeah.
I'll blow them up for you when you're ready. Important. Iran's goal in orchestrating October 7th was to break up the Abraham Accords because the historic alliance isolated Iran's terror regime. Trump used a balance of diplomacy, economic pressure, and targeted strikes to contain Iran. The embodiment of peace through strength. So you did hear what he said. Israel's dismantling of Hezbollah would have been much more challenging, if not impossible, had Trump not taken out the Iran's terror mastermind, Qasem Soleimani. That was him on October 7th. Here is the one that I would appreciate it if you could read. I'll blow it up for you.
Sure.
There it is, my friend. Enjoy.
Sure. It says, definitely. I personally think we should have crushed their ballistic and nuke capes, but Trump has a plan. He has definitely earned the confidence of any clever-eyed observer.
I guess we're saying he's no longer clever-eyed. Trump's restraint shows that he wants a deal with Iran. His red line is America loss of life and IR nuke development. It's almost like you knew exactly what you were voting for. Our fundamental vulnerability remains. Troops in striking range of Iran, IR, weapons and proxies with no vital U.S. mission. I wonder if the fourth will be the piece de la resistance, will be the missing Da Vinci Code or the code breaker here. Go ahead, Leeroy.
Sure. It says October 7th because happened, that's weird. Happened Biden Harris gave Iran access to over $100 billion. Trump used diplomacy to build the Abraham Accords, cut off Iran's funding, and killed key terrorists. America and our allies were safe, and there was less war. No more neocons, no appeasement. Trump 2024.
Wow. Okay, so let me tell you who this guy is. Joe Kent is also a 3%er. He is a person who's anti-Israel. He is a fan of Nick Fuentes. They are friends. He believes that Israel is the devil, and he has been moved from the center and radicalized. I mean, we have to start calling it's radicalization. This guy was Special Forces. He was in the military. He was an American patriot, was absolutely a fervent supporter in 2020 and 2016 of Donald J. Trump. What happened? Well, October 7th happened, and the thing that we've been talking about, this black pill, these people who are literally just spoiling whatever happens in the United States or in the world that's negative is that the responsibility of the Jews. Well, here he is. And lo and behold, I've got the receipts, not only those texts, but here is Joe Kent on Tucker Carlson. Watch this.
We left our troops in these vulnerable locations, like on the Jordanian, Syrian, and Iraqi border. Our troops have been attacked, we think, at least 150 times since the October 7th incident began. And so we've seen this coming. This was an inevitable conclusion. So by leaving our troops in these locations, undefended, essentially, we left them there as bait because so many people in Washington, D.C. want to go to war with Iran. There's no other logical conclusion other than the fact that we have left them there as bait to be killed by Iranians at the time and place of their choosing so that we can continue to escalate towards a conflict with Iran and us baiting a trap for ourselves to get our troops killed, to encourage and then really to justify a further war against Iran. We left our...
So an interesting thing, Lee Wilson donated $5. Thanks for bringing it, guys. We appreciate it. Not quite done yet, Leeroy. We'll open it up in just a second. I also want to expose this. Now, let me explain something in the intelligence community before we get to this, and Leeroy can help us too. Leeroy, when you hear the word shitbag when it comes to a veteran, what comes to mind? Do these people have a place of trust in the IC?
Generally, no.
No. And once you are known for a person who has foot to mouth disease or a mouth to brain inability to disconnect, if these people don't know how to say the words "I don't know," how or "Sir, I do not have," "Sir or ma'am, I do not have the information right now. However, I will get back to you as soon as possible." If you're not capable of saying those things, how quickly do you get ostracized from the IC?
Very quickly. What happens is the moment you have tried to buffalo somebody, be it a commander or a chief or anybody with some sort of, you have to understand that there are people in the military who do know more than you sometimes when you're briefing, and you'll get a commander who will already have the answer, but they want to make sure, they want to verify themselves. And so they may ask you during the course of your briefing, hey, what is your assessment of this? And if you make up something on the fly and they already have the answer and you're wrong, your credibility is tanked. It is far better just to say, sir, I don't have the answer to that. Let me research it and I will get back with you. And when you substitute that simple phrase with, "Oh, well, what I think, sir, is that, this thing over here happened." No, see, now you're shooting yourself in the foot, and everyone's going to have a hard time trusting you to brief ever again.
You don't recover from it because you will be excommunicated from the IC or reassigned. So if you're deployed, you're going back stateside. I'm just letting you know. You're going back stateside, and you might find yourself at Nimitzi. You might find yourself at some undeployable base that has no relevancy and no responsibility whatsoever. And you're basically just reading message traffic on gold and blue, and you're doing a possible 20-minute debrief every morning, and then they're putting you out to pasture. That's usually what happens. A lot of people are like, "Oh, well, it's really hard to come back." No, the IC doesn't do, at least when I was in, it might be different under Leeroy, but rehabilitation is not something that's for convicts, and that's for boatswain's mates who realize that they shouldn't have been a BM and want to do something else. If you are in the intel community, your clearance is one of the highest clearances in the military. And most captains on the ship don't even have the same exact clearances that Leeroy and I had. And you have to understand is that responsibility is massive. But if you don't have the basic common sense to shut up, or if you don't have the basic common sense not to disclose something, those are prerequisites. Those aren't learnables. Those are things that you are inherently, you are born with, and they can't be taught. It's not a skill. It's not a will situation. It's a skill situation. And that's really, go ahead.
Oh, No. You go ahead. Sorry.
So my point is that this guy, why would he resign now? And the first thing I thought of somebody in that position with that type of clearance is that this guy has been ostracized and he has been put in the corner, or he has been put at the kids' table at Thanksgiving dinner. That is the first thing I thought, because there's why would you ever resign from this position? This is a life position. This is one that transfers through multiple administrations. They don't fire this position. This is like Tom Homan. Tom Homan's worked for like 5 different presidents. This guy had it made. He could have written books. He could have honestly moved into a director role he has written a book. Well, in the sense of the channel, he could have written books on anti-terrorism. He could have made bestsellers. This guy could be on the lecture circuit. He could actually speak at the FBI, teach at all the tech schools. I mean, this guy has it. This guy could be making $75,000 on the lecture circuit. All he had to do was just stay. Why leave? And why would it be for something 4 years ago that he completely was in agreeance with? What changed? And we know what changed, because watch this and watch. I guarantee Leeroy had the same thought that I did. This guy was put out to pasture. He couldn't shut up, or he didn't know how to say the words, I don't know. And here's your confirmation.
Allegation that his decision was based on the influence of others, even foreign countries, is both insulting and laughable. Now, our own Aisha Hasni, reporting that on background to a senior administration official, says that Joe Kent was cut out of POTUS intelligence briefings months ago due to allegations of suspected leaks, and that he has not been a part of any Iran planning discussions or briefings at all, which sort of posed the disconnect addressed earlier this morning by the administration, saying that he wasn't privy to the classified information that indeed underscores and provides the evidence that Iran was nuclear empowered or about to be. And final quick point, that I've referenced Joe Kent's testimony on the Hill many times in 2025 of the 18,000 known terrorists that came through the southern border under the Biden administration's watch in the prior.
Yeah, that's great all. And here's it's Leeroy's in 10 seconds. That's wonderful that he may not be in the know about Iran and just basically is talking out of his ass. That's not the headline. You're burying the lead. Okay? And I love her, by the way. She's amazing. She goes to a church right down the road from me. Here's the thing, folks. He isn't read in because he can't be trusted. That explains why you resign. If you're being excluded from meetings, it's just a matter of time before your resignation is already tendered before you even turned it in. Here, you get to control the messaging. Leeroy?
I'm going to point out 3 different things, okay? And 2 of them have already been hinted at, but there seems to be some discrepancies in the discussion, specifically with Joe. Now, he was the head of the counterintelligence, the counterterrorism chief, right? Now, we know that because of the wide open borders from over the last 4 years prior to Donald Trump, that any one of a number of potential terrorist cells had penetrated the United States. So for Joe to be on that, to be the chief of the counterterrorism cell, there's a question there about why he would say Iran doesn't pose a threat to begin with. Like, you should know better. So that's kind of point 1. And point 2 is a little bit more emotional. I don't know that a lot of the people watching know this, but he is a Gold Star husband. His wife, Shannon, was a senior chief in the Navy, and she was killed by a suicide bomber. This was an ISIS suicide bomber in Syria. So his wife was killed, right, by a ISIS suicide bomber. ISIS is largely Sunni. Iran is Shia. Iran is mostly of the Shia faction. So, one thing you can guarantee yourself is that the Sunnis and the Shias, they don't get along. They will kill each other.
And so will the Kurds, who are the third part of that equation, who ceremoniously hate both the Shias and the Sunnis.
Yes. And so there is an element to me when I'm hearing all of this, and I'm not saying this is what happened, but I would question it, of how emotionally invested is Joe? His wife was killed.
Oh, he's absolutely.
By a suicide bomber.
I would say he's emotionally compromised.
That's what I'm worried about. Is
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
like,
not just involved. You can be emotional. Right. Go ahead.
You can have great credentials. You can have that iconic chin with the dimple that he has and look the part. But if you're emotionally compromised, now I start to wonder, right? That's just why surgeons are never allowed to, they're not supposed to perform surgery on family members. So that's another piece. And then the third piece, the third question that I have is the security clearance stuff. How can he say definitively that Iran posed no threat if you weren't privy to the briefs?
Correct.
So there's some questions there. There's some discrepancies that are just lighting off my spidey senses. And
But at the very worst, even if you weren't read in, you are aware that Iran, by multiple sources, that also not just came from the FBI, not just came from counterterrorism, but also came from multiple independent agencies and news organizations, that Iran hired an assassin to kill President Trump. Right there, that is an imminent threat. So whether you pretend you know this or not, you understood that. Now here's the thing. I'm not here trashing this guy. I don't know this guy, but I do know.
Same.
But I do know he ran for Congress, and I do know that Donald Trump gave you a consolatory prize and put you in a position of extreme influence in this country, knowing that we would have to face Iran and knowing that there would be backlash for terrorist activity in the United States. You are in a heightened position of influence and authority, and if you are not being briefed and you are not being read in on these imminent attacks that could possibly happen from sleeper cells, but also from individual HVTs like the President of the United States or members of Congress, then you're useless as tits on a board. That's essentially a race car without any fuel. Your potential is there, but it's all unused. And you have been bastardized into an ineffective resource. Now, people are like, why didn't they pull his clearance? Well, pulling a clearance is a very different thing than being bad at your job, or having loose lips. A lot of people think that this is the guy that was on the Signal chat and who leaked information to the reporter. When the original strikes that took place in Syria, and also the strikes that happened with Epic or with Midnight Hammer.
9 times out of 10, when somebody loses a clearance, it's because they mishandled classified information, right? Or there's some sort of compromise in their past. What Joe did was not that. He just simply wasn't privy to the correct information and then made an assessment anyway.
This guy
these are two very, very different things. Yeah.
He wasn't turned by Tucker. He was turned by Nick Fuentes. You need to do a little research, but Nick Fuentes and him are very close. He knows him. He went to his conference, and his language inside his resignation about ISIS and Israel. This guy actually believes that Israel and Mossad, which is a conspiracy theory, created ISIS and ISIL. This is one of the major conspiracies, that in order for Israel to justify its defense budget, they created ISIS. Folks, right there alone, it's got Nick Fuentes' fingerprints all over it. And this is the type of infiltration that we have to be careful. Nick Fuentes is this guy's master. Nobody knows who it is. This guy's now telling you to vote for Democrats. I have a video. Nick Fuentes is absolutely nuts, and he's coping really hard. He did not like falling out of grace of President Trump, and here is this video. Mel Lowe donated $51.9 tonight. Good to go. Go to goal, boys. Mel, we need it. Thank you. 268, folks. We're over halfway there.
Much, Mel.
We're over halfway there. Let's hit up, folks. We need some help time. We have a lot of people on, so please at least hit the like button. Right? We've got 200 people on. If we could just hit that like button, that helps. It really, really helps. Please do that. We've got a whole bunch of people on Rumble too. Do me a favor. Please hit that like button. That makes a big difference. Here is Nick Fuentes. And we called this too. I mean, I tried a lot of people. Oh, you know, Nick, he says some things I don't like, but he really says a lot of things that are interesting. No, he doesn't.
I think the only way, if there is one, out of this is regime change in Israel and America. That's the only way out of this. Iran, once we finish here, if we withdraw without toppling the government, they're going to try to build the nuclear bomb, I assume. They're going to try to rebuild their missiles and drones. We're going to be right back where we started in 6 months, unless Netanyahu is not in power and a weaker Israeli leader is in place. He'll feel the same way, but he won't be as powerful as Netanyahu. And we need regime change in the United States. We need Democrats in Congress that can shut the administration down and prevent the government from bringing us back. In a word, let's let Iran go nuclear. Let's let Iran rebuild its defenses. Let's let Israel and the United States replace their leadership by a population that wants to be free, that doesn't want a war. In Israel, it's not going to happen. In America, this is what we need.
This is why the gay Mexican midget needs to.
I don't understand him.
How do you groypers even sleep? How do you follow this guy? Weren't you guys America first? Does this sound like America? Let's Iran build a nuke. Let's vote Democrats and put them back in power. Do you guys just feel completely bent over the table or what? How embarrassed are you guys? You guys literally decided to hate an entire group of people because this little gay Mexican midget told you to do so. I don't know, Leeroy, dude, how many more are we going to call and be right?
I will say this, right? I initially saw him as a leftist, right? Mm-hmm. He was an anti-Semite the whole time, and he had spoken openly about it, like his disdain at times for women, for things that make Americans individually free. He didn't like blacks. He had said several times throughout his podcast, like, I feel safer when they're on the other side of the street. Like,
right. Yeah. Doesn't bring racial marriages. Get him out of here.
Right. So I see him as a far leftist, but more than that, I see him as an opportunist, somebody who'd be willing to sell his, grandma's teeth for a nickel. And I think that's so long as you recognize that, then you understand that he is not a conservative and he's not speaking for American values. He is just looking for the clickbait. He needs the subscriptions, and he'll say whatever fantasy thing is required in order for him to gain popularity.
That's correct.
And currently in the market, that seems to be a lot of hate traffic.
It's a real interesting point. So I already heard, well, this guy's been through a lot, and, he went down the rabbit hole with conspiracy theories and, blah, 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 blah. And I don't think that that's necessarily untrue. Right. But I'm pretty good at what I do. So here's your evidence with Tucker. I just pulled this one and found it for us while Leeroy was talking, just to go ahead and put a bow on it. Joe Kent was owned by Fuentes.
Like, take Joe Kent, for instance. I supported Joe Kent, and I talked to Joe Kent. I got introduced to him by Matt Brainerd. Matt Brainerd went to my conference in 2021. He bought a table.
Was he his campaign manager?
He was.
Okay.
Or he was a consultant, but he was on the campaign, yeah. And so I met Matt Brainerd. He liked me a lot. He loved my conference in February 21, which he bought a table at for his organization, Look at America. And in 2021, and by we, I mean my nonprofit and myself and my team, we wanted to support America First candidates in the midterms. Like you said, authentic opponents.
Me too.
Yeah. And
that's how I found Joe Kent.
Yes. And so I met a lot of the people in that sort of scene, like Ryan Gerdusky, I know, is very supportive of Joe Kent, and other people that are more private, I don't want to name, but they put me on, not just to Joe Kent, but Patrick Witt in Georgia, Gibbs in Michigan, a lot of different people. And Joe Kent was one of them. And I had a phone call with Joe Kent. And I told him, I had my assistant on the phone too, who's Jewish, by the way, just because I want you to know I'm cool like that. I don't judge. But so I'm on the phone with Joe, and I said, look,
that's right.
We support you, and we want to do everything we can to help you. We want to have my followers knock on doors for you. We want to boost your social media. Anything that you need, we want to help you. I said, and we don't even want to be publicly associated. I said, because we know that that might hurt you. I said, the only thing that we ask in return is you can't disavow me if the media asks. And you can say whatever you need to say, but you can't disavow.
You know, being right is, you know, it's a gift. And listen, he is a slime ball. And Joe Kent, thank you for your service. You're a gold star. That has nothing to do with what I'm saying now. I appreciate all those things you've done for our country. I appreciate the things you did working in a CTU unit. All of those things. I appreciate that you're special forces. I know many people who are one of my best friends, like my father, across the street is Green Beret, special forces, and I know a bunch of them. There is an absolute respect that you get from me from that, but that does not stop me from calling a spade a spade. What you did was complete shit. And how you resigned was complete shit. And I have no doubt in my mind that you're an anti-Semite. You are anti-Israel, anti-Zionist. You believe all of the bullshit conspiracies, and you allowed that judgment to impact your work, and you chose Iran over the United States. Live with it, Jane Fonda, because that's what you are. You're Jane Fonda. You're Hanoi Jane. You're Tehran Jane. That's your new name. You're Tehran Joe. That's it. We had Hanoi Jane and we have Tehran Joe. You chose Iran over the United States. You chose a conflict with the President of the United States. And instead of staying in a position where you could have defended America, where you could have defended the people here abroad who are going to face absolute repercussions because of this, that was your job. Your job was to protect our soil from terrorist groups coming over here and harming the citizenry of this country. Has nothing to do with the president's policy in Iran. But the repercussions of those decisions, you had a direct relationship, and like Marjorie Taylor Greene, when things got hard, you quit. You took everything that you learned in the military and you threw it to the side and just said, I'm going to be a quitter. So, congratulations. That's it. But don't expect me to sit here and go, oh, because you're a gold star, that allows you to make horrible decisions that betray your country. You had a job to do and you quit when it got hard. I think that's cowardice. Am I being too hard, Leeroy?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, it's okay to criticize some of these people, right? They're eventually what we're talking about is, let's say Joe had a successful career up to this point. All right. What would his next appointment be? Would it be something that creates policy that we're supposed to live by?
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about people who have potentially made some bad calls in the past, it's okay to call them out.
That is.
Donald Trump has made bad calls. Elizabeth Warren has made, every one of our politicians has made bad calls. Let's talk about it. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I happen to believe, me personally, that the Democrat Party, the far left, right? The further you go left within our political spectrum, those bad calls are exponentially more than there are on the right.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And you have a right to challenge the president of the United States in the Oval Office when you're invited and your opinion is to be given. Otherwise, shut up and do your job. You're not the president. Right. You don't get to decide foreign policy of this country. That's not your role. Know your lane. I'm sorry, dude. People are like, well, Matt, why are you carrying water for Trump? I'm not. I'm calling a spade a spade. If this guy was a Biden official, I'd say the same thing. I am not a fan of people who get involved and spend a lifetime knowing the right thing to do in the hierarchy of the chain of command and then break it. I'm not a fan of it. I wasn't a fan of General Miley calling China and saying, listen, if we ever going to do a preemptive anything against you, well, I'll call you first. That's treason, yo. I don't like it when Joe Biden called the Afghani regulars and called the president of Afghanistan and said, if you don't do A, B, C, and D, quid pro quo, I'm going to pull intelligence and air support for all of your team. Knowing a full well a year before his generals told him that they were exfilling into Tajikistan, that they were surrendering to Taliban regulars, and knew that the fall of the entire country was going to happen when they exfilled, but ignored them. I consider that to be treasonous. 13 Americans died that day. Sorry. I don't care if you have a gold star. You know what I know? I've met a lot of people with gold stars. I've had Ryan Weaver here, and he's lost multiple brothers. I have handed flags to hundreds of Gold Star. I worked with Maryland Gold Star, New York Gold Star, Delaware Gold Star, Virginia, Pennsylvania Gold Star families. We've raised roofs for Gold Star families, and I have given hundreds of flags to Gold Star families, and I am friends with chapter presidents, and I adore and love every single one of those Gold Star moms, and you can see me in videos with them all over when I worked with Valor and Flags. But guess what? If one of them did something to dishonor their family members, if one of them did something to dishonor this country, I'm sorry, that Gold Star status does not give you a get out of jail free card for accountability in the decisions you make. And I'm sorry Joe Kent lost his wife. It had nothing to do with the horrible decision he made today when he abandoned his country. That's it. Put a pin in it. He's fucking done. Oops, fudging done. Sorry. Whew. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Hey. You've heard of the, oh, by the way, folks, 268.43. Our original goal was 300. We're trying to make up for last night. We're hoping for a little bit of a miracle when it comes to this. We want to try to hit our goal. We want to make up for the week. We had a really good night last night. Thought it was a good show. I think people didn't donate. I got some feedback from a listener. It said, hey, maybe people didn't donate because they thought that it was going to go to campaign contribution. You guys know me better than that. We would make an individual contribution for whatever we raised on top of that. We've done that with political people before. We did that with Brandon Michon. We did it with Eli Crane. I should have explained it better. If that's the case, I apologize, but try to help us out tonight if you could. We would really appreciate it. Here is CRAM. Are you familiar with that?
I am not. I've heard it before, but I'm trying to.
Missile Air Defense System, 20 millimeter.
Okay,
similar.
I do know what it is. Yep.
This is a great. We've been playing these all week, and it makes very, like, it sounds like the War of the Worlds monster, but this thing, you actually get to see an intercept, and it is incredible. Watch this.
هاي راح تضرب الفندق، ضربت الفندق. هاي وقعت عمر استعجل. روح تعال مزر لحظة. شنو هاي طير.
So this thing is, we've been covering. Oh, it's brutal. That thing is amazing.
So CRAM, for those who need to know, it's basically like the Navy Sea Whiz, but it's set up on a truck or a rail platform.
Yeah, and they can also put it up high too. So you don't want it shooting down at targets, but they can put it up on roofs. They can put it up on elevated positions. And these are, it's a 20 millimeter burst, and you will actually see it bursting all over targets and just turning them into Swiss cheese. It's incredible. It's an amazing thing. Listen, I have the Speaker Johnson video. Some people were mentioning it. I don't need to. Yeah, Frederick says, sounds like an A-10. It's got the same cyclic rate as the A-10. I think it's 4,500 rounds per minute. But the Vulcan, 30 millimeter Vulcan cannon on the A-10 shoots 30 millimeter. This is a 20 millimeter. Either way, it definitely sounds similar, but it doesn't have the massive report of the cycling of the rounds that the Warthog does. And the A-10. The A-10 will have its original belt fed, and then it will have the initial pop-off of the round, and then it has the sprawl in it hitting. It just has a very different report, but it's loud. And when you put it in an industrial area or a cityscape, it's a noisy beast, man. That thing will wake you up. Sounded like Cheese Whiz. Yeah, it's a lot like Sea Whiz, but once again, not on naval craft. However, there are some activated in the bays that they're using naval vessels to do 180 rotations and horizon targeting, that they are using naval vessels in a lot of the bays. So it can be used in conjunction with CWIS. I'm not going to show the Speaker Johnson video, which basically goes on Joe Kent. I'm not hating on Joe Kent. I'm just telling you I disagree with his decision. I think it was a poorly made decision, and I don't appreciate that he quit. You know, if he would have said, listen, I'm quitting for these reasons or whatever, you could have done it privately. And instead you tried to embarrass the president. And I think it's stupid. You serve at the pleasure of the president. Your resignation was already given the moment that he chose you. Graham Allen and Bongino. This is an interesting one. Graham Allen is somebody who Leeroy and I both appreciate. I think Graham's a good dude. He's a smart guy. I occasionally get compared to Graham Allen as far as looks, and I don't know if I see it except the tattoos and the beard. I mean, I guess that makes everybody look kind of the same. But I do appreciate Graham. He's been going after Candace hard, and Dan Bongino is having him on because of it. Here is the video between the both of them.
Oh, you're a great guest here. I want to get to this first. You have been really vocal about some of the cancerous rot pretending to be part of our movement. A lot of this stuff going on right now with the Charlie Kirk conspiracies, what Candace is putting out there. And I've addressed this on a bigger picture, how we can never become the cannibalistic left that starts eating its own. They did this. The left did this to itself. They destroyed their movement with men in the women's room, defund the police, just raw stupidity. But Graham, unfortunately, there are people infiltrating our movement that are using this old, tried and sadly not true technique, but it does work, of overloading and bombarding people with facts and totally underwhelming people with evidence. That's the mark of a moron. The way smart people work is they drown out irrelevant stimulus, irrelevant facts, and they get to the heart of the matter right away. I'm getting tired of this shit, man. This is creating a really dangerous situation for a lot of people out there, and it's just rotting our movement.
Yeah, no, and yes, I've been very vocal about it. It's led to a lot of pain and a lot of irritation. I would argue that these specific people, and the hard part is for me the same that it is for you. I know these people. I know these people just like you know these people, and it's so when people attack me for saying something about Candace, I always am like, you don't know Candace. I know Candace. My very first book, there's a blurb from Candace Owens talking about how much she loves me on the book, and now she hates my guts. I would argue that a lot of these people that are the cancers that we're seeing right now, you look at them, you look at the people that are either just doing the most evil and demonic, those are the keywords, right? That we're getting paid to say, evil and demonic. And I just want to make sure that
Did you cash your check?
I want to make sure.
Okay,
evil
right.
and demonic, just so we get it.
If you don't say them both, right, you don't get your mystery paycheck that magically never appears in anyone's bank account.
What I loved is that fake campaign that's been proven fake. They they said that I was the ringleader on the paper there, and that you and Ben Shapiro.
So let me ask you a question. Is this how you handle it, or do you just not engage with it? Do you, here we are talking about it, and we're talking about it. I'm talking about it, and you're having to listen to it. But I think there's a disservice. I think there was a time when, the voices that were leading these movements, we were on the same page. And
agreed.
I think we're emulating politicians, and I think we're looking like Willie Nelson. We're looking for love in all the wrong places. I think.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think when we see a lot of these talk show hosts with the infighting, and we've just done a whole show basically kind of covering the topic, but when we see that much infighting, the way I see it is when a talk show host lacks some level of absolute moral clarity, then rather than talk about the big topics like we were talking about abortion, Second Amendment rights, freedom of speech, rather than talk about those things, which is clearly a right-leaning trait, value system.
Yeah. I agree.
Lacking that sense of moral clarity, then what happens is, in order to get the clicks, they go after each other. They go after each other because the infighting, we just got to talk about like how it's good for ratings, right? It's good for ratings for Candace to talk about all this nonsense, this hate. People don't have to understand it. They just have to feel her emotions and say, my friend Charlie Kirk was murdered and I think Erica did it. Like that level of kind of psychotic hate and emotion that is brought to the table, it gets people to watch.
Yeah.
So rather than address the things that are truly important, right, we get sidetracked into these little shows. And me personally, I don't like it.
Everyone was saying this weekend, here's a perfect example. Benjamin Netanyahu's dead.
I saw that.
All of them.
My wife sent me the message and she's like, is this true? Like I can just log into JWix right then and there and say, hey,
Candace Owens was saying it.
Yeah.
Stu Peters was saying it. I must have seen it on 20 accounts. And so what happens? Mike Huckabee does a video with Netanyahu and they go up and they make jokes about his hands because they said it was AI because two of his fingers were close together. And why are all these people, why are they still platformed? Why would you ever go back and listen to any of these people who just told you that Benjamin Netanyahu's dead? Even if you hate Netanyahu or you love Netanyahu, that should infuriate everybody. It should infuriate everybody. These people are not credible. Candace Owens she has receipts. What receipt? Please, what is her accusation? In her investigation that she's been doing, please someone tell me what the accusation is. What is she saying? Somebody just tell me. Somebody betrayed Charlie Kirk. Great. That's about as vague as
right.
You can go ahead and find a key in Texas. Thank you. What does that mean? What are you saying? This is why conspiracy theory, it's labeled by the CIA and it's a robotic, fuck you. Sorry, you. Sorry. First one today. So, you don't have anything. All you're doing is filling the vacant void of a lack of information or understanding and filling it with something that's not substantive, something that isn't qualified. Exactly. It's not logic. You like the way it feels because you don't know. And you want to know so bad that you're willing to fill it full of anything that fills that void so you can sleep at night. You know what that's called? It's called obsessive compulsive disorder. You can't function without an answer. That's neuroses. That is a clinical condition, and you've got it. If you're one of those people that go, I gotta know, and I know because, guys, when I don't hit goal, I'm a failure. Olivia, I'm a failure. I'm sorry. I couldn't do it tonight. And I tell her how sorry I am. And she's like, it's not your fault. You didn't do anything. You had a great show.
When I hear the people that are like that, and I come across plenty, for the people that are absolutely, they have to have the answer. They have to understand the ins and the outs and what's going on, every little detail. Those are the people, generally speaking, those are the first people that get sucked into conspiracy theory. Because if there's a loophole just big enough, a logical loophole just big enough that
jam it with whatever fits.
This is how we say, we never landed on the moon, or whatever the case is. Like that's how that kind of thing starts.
It just starts with doubt,
insatiable thirst,
right,
for some level of knowledge. I need to know if this was faked or not. Next thing you know, you end up down these paths that are not necessarily credible. We've talked about there are type 1 and type 2 logical fallacies in this world.
Right.
You can accept false premises, right? And there's a famous meme out there where like a doctor is sitting down with the dude saying, "Yes, sir, you're pregnant." That's a type 1 fallacy. And then the type 2 is the exact opposite. It's when you reject a true premise. So
it's cognitive dissonance
all the time.
It's cognitive dissonance. You know better. You know better. Every single one of the people out there who watch this crap, you have standards. You have some standard. If your husband lied to you as many times as Candace, you wouldn't be with him anymore. You would divorce his ass. You would leave him. You wouldn't dedicate your love to somebody who lied to you like that. But this is what happens all the time. Okay, Kevin Bernard's calling. Kevin, what do you want to talk about? You got like 2 minutes, and I got to shift gears.
As far as like Candace Owens,
Yeah,
and these podcasters spewing all this shit.
yeah.
Like, I'm on the fence. Do you blame the podcaster or do you blame the viewers?
Yes.
Because it seems like some people just want to hear sensationalism.
Yep. Yes.
They
is
don't
the
want to
answer.
hear the truth.
That's what
the
I was
truth
thinking.
is boring.
Yes. Yes is the answer, dude. Yes. You nailed it. Yes is the answer. Yes.
Perfectly stated.
Both. Yes.
All right, guy. You have a good night.
Shit, I love you, Kev.
Good night, Leeroy.
Olivia just came around the corner and flipped you off.
Good night, Kevin.
Oh, David.
She just gave you the bird because you didn't call when she was on. I love you, but oh, there she is. There's her. She actually did it. She's like,
dead man walking.
Love you, Kev. Bye. It's a great point.
Bye,
The
Kevin.
answer is yes. And listen, I don't blame thirsty people for looking for water.
Yeah.
I blame the person who has the sign that says water and ice and air conditioning, and you get there and they literally give you a cup of sand and they've got a space heater and beef jerky. Those are the people that I blame. Larry Hatfield donated 20. Thanks, Larry. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Larry.
Puts us at 288. You know what I'm saying? They have the opposite of water. They're just they've got potassium tablets, sodium tablets.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just false. They're telling you, does that mean I'm always right? No, but when I'm wrong, I'm going to let you know. And I'm going to say, hey, I made a mistake. Let's move it. Hey, have you heard of the EC2? And this is interesting because it's a dyslexic version of a plane you know absolutely well. But the EC2 Kawasaki?
No. Is it Japanese?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, of course. So, yes, it's Japanese. It's their new version of the EC2.
I know what the E2C is, obviously.
Right. Excuse me. See, I'm
EC2.
dyslexic too. E2C is the answer, and it's basically a C17 EM machine. And it's an amazing thing. Look at this thing. You remember the
C17?
Yeah.
That's an
remember
EM?
Yeah. You remember the Super Guppy?
Give it to me, Big Daddy.
Do you remember the Super Guppy? Yeah, this is going to remind you of the Super Guppy, but instead of having the giant freaking hunchback over the top, and it's right. It's now in the front nose, so it's got like a C-130 original prop, non-turbine assisted, non-propulsion assisted old DC. And it's got a Super Guppy and a C-17. Look, watch this. You're going to love this. This thing is like the most hideous thing ever, but it's really cool.
Oh, my God.
Right. Tell me that's not a fat belly C-17.
That is gnarly.
Did I describe it perfect or what?
Ooh. That is the prime example of form over beauty.
Oh, yeah.
Function before beauty, yeah.
Can you imagine that thing trying to just launch electronic countermeasures, trying to avoid any type of lock-on? I mean, he just sits there. Let's take the hit. I think we're sturdy enough.
That is gross.
Isn't that a mixture of like a C-130, a C-17, and a Super Guppy?
Yeah. Jeez. You know what it almost looked like is like somebody took a revamped Kohler. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah.
It's got those high shoulders on where the leading edge hits the fuselage for the aircraft. That's like an old Russian design. It's called a Kohler. But then you see like that nose and the hunchbacks on the
dude. That thing's got forward projection. It's got 360-degree projection. You recognize some of those humps on there, and you recognize the nose of what they're running. So this thing actually is 148 feet long. It is 100%. Its mission is non-kinetic warfare, right? Yep. It's just an electronic warfare machine. Jams enemy radar, communication systems from long range, but also projection. It can project itself in hundreds of miles away, along with other aircraft and other ground units, and it can put cloak, and it can disappear units. My understanding is that the projection of this thing is at this time about 10 times the capability of the E2, E2C, and other type units that the United States has.
Right.
We know the
Well,
Growler does. The Growler does
control kind of platform, right?
Say again, what?
I said the E2 is kind of a command and control platform versus something like this, which is more intended to jam enemy systems.
Right.
But
I'm referring. Hold on. But I'm referring to the
Yeah.
forward projection of the E2. Yes,
God,
it's operating. Its overall mission is different. What I'm saying is that if you look at the E2, it's got a giant freaking emitter on the top of it that. Just to understand how much this forward projection of this is, the Growler right now does a lot of the similar things that this does on a smaller scale. This thing is massive. I mean, this thing is incredible for what it can do. Go ahead.
A lot of people. Okay, so full disclosure, my first 4 years.
Melanie Marino donated $21.10. Dealing with some massive medical right now. Sorry, Melanie, we love you and we appreciate you donating. That means
I hope
the
you're all
world.
right, Melanie. Thank you so much for the donation, and I hope you're okay.
Sorry, Leeroy, I didn't mean to interrupt. Melanie, we love you.
No, you're good. I spent my first 4 years in the Navy as an electronic warfare technician. I wrote a Slick 32 on board ship for 4 years. And I was fortunate enough to have found myself on one of the very few fast frigates. There were only like 2 on the East Coast that had jamming capability. Most of the Slick 32 systems, the passive EW system, they were all passive, with the exception of 2 vessels. And I was on one of them that had like this outboard thing that had the capability to jam. So when I see a lot of these radomes, when I see the radomes on that EC2, the Kawasaki, I recognize the level of the jamming capability that must have. And it's significant. And for anybody who wants to know about this, I mean, I could go into it in detail. I've literally given classes on this stuff. But basically, radars work off of 5 basic parameters. There's like frequency, there's pulse width, there's pulse, they call it PRI, or pulse repetition interval, or PRF, same thing, pulse repetition frequency. So once you understand that every radar system works off of basically 5 fingerprints, then you can replicate that signal and send it back to the point of origin to make it think whatever you want it to think. And that's how you end up being able to set up ghosting or make it think that you're several thousand miles from where you actually are. That's it. And when you combine a lot of that with the modern computing, the ability to manipulate those signals before sending them back, that's how you get a lot of this additional capability, and it's fantastic.
Were these the ones you were on? Were they Aegis, like FFGs, or?
No. FFGs at that time were late 1980s platforms, early 1980s. They had a SPS 55 as their surface search radar. They had a SPS 49, which was an air search type deal. No Aegis, nothing like that. We didn't see that for another 2-3 years after I got out.
Oh, okay. So first stint, right? So that wasn't as intelligence. That was an EW.
That was correct. I was an actual electronic warfare operator.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know what you were on, whether this was IS time or EW time. So that makes sense. That EW, predates that. But either way, this thing is pretty incredible. And being Kawasaki, it's an interesting thing because the United States has a lot of investment into Kawasaki and uses Kawasaki for a lot of American-based equipment too. So this thing can't be too far off. And the one thing you know about Japan and the United States, they pretty much share everything. They are hands down one of our strongest allies when it comes to sharing their military equipment. So I'd love to see how this thing is going to be used. The thing is a lot of American-based equipment and U.S.-based equipment has this technology already involved with the platforms that would be doing any of the type of strikes and don't require this. So in your eyes, would this be predominantly naval versus Air Force? Because Japan's Air Force is really non-existent. They rely on the United States for that. So do you think this would be prominently assisting the naval units in Japan?
Actually, I could see it serving both functions.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that the Japanese Navy is, fairly small, and it's not.
It's not. No, it's huge.
Post World War II, they were not allowed to have anything technically listed bigger than a cruiser. And so what Japan had done was instead of making bigger and better ships, they just made bigger and better ships and then still listed them as cruisers.
Right.
So they end up with these fleet of literally they can carry like F-35s and helicopters, but they have it listed as a cruiser. And it's like, no, that's not a cruiser.
Yeah.
But that's how they got around it. And when you compare the Japanese surface fleet to the surface fleet of China,
oh yeah,
they're far closer than what most people would imagine. George Freeman, who's a geopolitical analyst that I used to follow from a couple years back, this is not that long ago. We're talking maybe 7-8 years ago. He had actually stated that he felt that the Japanese Navy fleet was the true Asian power at the time. Now, since then, his opinion may have changed some, but that just tells you how close these two were in terms of size and capability.
And if you go ahead and take the U.S. Navy along with Japanese, we run all of our exercise together. We run maritime operations together. I mean, the Japanese and United States, I mean, I can't even tell you how many times they would be in 7th Fleet, and we would have a Japanese sub accompany us on our operations in the South China Sea, or so in the Sea of Japan, or going into Jakarta or Indonesia, or going down by Diego Garcia and going into the Indian Ocean. We were all over the place together. And then Japan was with us in the Australian operations that we would do off the coast of Sydney. And every year Japan was there too. The Japanese fleet is not small in any way. That's my point. Their Air Force is not as strong. They rely more on integrated air defense system for their defense, but it's not that they don't have an Air Force too, because they do.
And that's a great point. And it's another kind of thing to think about, is that who is Japan's main rival in that area?
China.
It's China, right?
It's
so
always China.
When you think about
and North Korea, but it's predominantly China.
So when you think about what would the creation of something like this, what would it be intended to do? Right?
Oh, I know.
Everyone was kind of worried about the possibility that China would invade Taiwan.
That's right.
Boy, wouldn't this make life hell for any of the first wave Chinese fighters coming over, trying to take out radar sites, trying to take out command and control within Taiwan. Wouldn't this make that a virtual nightmare?
Can you imagine China bringing in its bombers and this thing essentially cloaking all integrated air defense systems, or showing ghosted strike patterns and telling the HK units that they're green, and not knowing that they're targeted or locked on until it's too late. This is what I was trying to say, is I think this would be predominantly for naval and ground units over Japanese Air Force. But that doesn't mean that the Japanese can't also use this to confuse the EC countermeasures of China and tell them a story that's different. Japan is our greatest ally, and I've said it, and there's a reason why the South China Sea and the Sea of Japan and the entire shipping lanes going into Hawaii, 9,000 miles of ocean, is so well protected, and it's because the extension of Japan. We never want to lose that relationship, and right now Japan has for a long time loved us. And their prime minister, they love us. Their defense department loves us. And we have had mutual relationships that have just been so strong for so long. Folks, we are at the final hour. We have hit our usual nightly goal. We are trying to make up for Monday. We've got about, I would say 10 minutes left, and I got to let Leeroy get out of here, but I've got a couple of other things I want to show you. Leeroy, you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. $5 ballots, $5 ballots in California. This is an interesting segment. I want to just play this. We've been hearing about voter ID. We know the Senate just pushed 51 to 49 to have a floor discussion on voter ID. And the Republicans have the votes. The only thing is, you have to go ahead and do a talking filibuster, or you have to go ahead and nuke the filibuster for this to pass. They still need 60 unless they remove those floor rules. So although they have the 51 to push a floor vote and to have the conversation, which is great, that's what we wanted, you're going to have to nuke this thing or force the Democrats into a talking filibuster. So here is something to distract you from that while we wait for more news. $5 to make you holla in California.
Hey, Sandra, you know, what I'm about to show you is one reason people don't trust the election system. Long line, mostly homeless, getting $5.
Folks, I'm at 97. We are at 97 likes. We Goose. There's 2 O's in Goose Boys. The alternate plaque is in the ladies' room. We have 97 likes. I am not going to press play until we hit 100. I can't have 2 nights without hitting 100 likes. It literally takes you to go and just hit the like button on the live feed, not the like inside the live show, but right on the outside. And I know we can do it. We've got plenty of people on to do it. We've got 40 plus on Rumble. We've got 120 some odd in General Pop. And we should start seeing those climb right about 98. Do I hear 99?
Hey,
there's 99. Do I hear 100? Here comes another one. Do I hear 100? See, you guys, that just shows there's 101. It shows me you guys forgot to hit the like button. That's something you could always do. I understand we can't always donate, but you could always hit the like button. Here's the rest of the video.
To sign election petitions. Not only is that illegal, they're also being asked to commit fraud by impersonating other voters hundreds of miles away.
Hey, what's the line for?
For sign a petition. Shut up! Don't say nothing to Lord. They get paying $5 to sign a petition.
They get $25?
$5.
$5. Okay.
So the guy who shot this says hundreds signed these petitions. No one reportedly asked for an ID, nor were they told what they were signing.
I get $5 too?
Yeah.
And what is it?
Just sign it.
Just sign it?
Yeah. You ready now? First name is going to be Carol. Last name.
Yeah, that was the name of a 81-year-old woman living elsewhere. So under California law, the state says it's illegal to give money or other consideration or exchange for an initiative petition. It's also a crime to circulate any petition known to include forged names. In this case, they wanted signatures for 2 upcoming measures, one fighting a billionaire tax, the other pension reform.
Signature gatherers can get paid. That's pretty standard practice. But when you start paying individual people for their signatures, especially people who are down and out in their luck, that borderline on criminal, in my opinion.
So now campaigns pay about $15 for every signature. So when you do the math here, they're clearing about $25 for every person, Sandra. Now, initiative spokesman says these circulators were subcontractors, not employees. They demand that these signatures now be rejected. No word on prosecution. Back to you.
Wow. Can you imagine doing that and not being in jail?
That's the problem, is that all of this stuff is illegal, but nobody is being prosecuted for it. So it just goes on.
Put them in jail. Arrest every single one of them.
It's one thing for me to go driving around in a car that has tinted windows that are technically too dark. Get it, right? If I get busted, great. I'll pay the fine. I'll rip the tint off, whatever. But there's got to be a consequence when there's something that has been done and it's done illegally. Now, what is the consequence here? Because if there is none, it's just going to go on, right? They don't care.
Can you? This is the same stuff we're covering here in Virginia. We don't cheat. We don't cheat. Listen, if Republicans do not nuke the filibuster or force a talking filibuster on the Democrats, and they do not get the SAVE Act passed, dude, I'm done with this. You know what I mean? I'm just like, we'll do a podcast on military aircraft. Maybe you and I will start doing modeling again, and You and I can like just like for 2 hours we can build our models and then show them off to people and stuff. Because I'm done. Maybe I can get you into hockey. Maybe we do
sure.
like veteransingles.com, maybe, something
Hell
like that.
yeah.
Oldwhiteguysingles.com. But I'm sick of this shit. Pass the SAVE Act. Get it done. I don't care what.
A couple
it takes.
hours ago, we were at dinner right before I was texting you actually to let you know that I was going to be on the show. When I was texting you, one of my friends, this person was in my wedding, right? She was a bridesmaid.
Okay.
Posted this link that says what you need to know about the SAVE Act, and the link goes to this campaignlegal.org thing. And so I just simply posted a comment there. I was like, I'm curious as to which states you have to provide citizenship to and which ones you don't. If citizenship is required to vote in federal elections, then there should be some sort of system to verify that. And if only American citizens are voting, then why would passing this be met with such resistance, right? If only Americans are the ones that are voting, then why fight it? Why is it an issue at all? And in response to that, I got so much hate from all of the far left leaners on her page. And it's just like mind boggling that they will come up with every defense they can to fight this without ever realizing that the same loopholes that are being exploited could eventually be used against them. And then at that time, they would be like,
you get arrested.
Like, why don't we have? Yeah,
you'll go to jail for that. They'll throw you in prison forever. They'll J6 you.
Right.
They'll call you a terrorist. Someone asked, does Japan have an Air Force? It's not called the Air Force. It's the JSDF, I think. JASDF, Joint Japan Air something Defense Force. I can't remember, but I remember all the guys tagged with it, and it shows that because that's a plane. So
yeah.
That's right there. But yeah, so they have F-15s. We've sold them F-15Es, Screaming Eagles. They have F-35s. We've sold them F-35s at their base too. Yeah. And they have joint base. Hokkaido, Yokohama are predominantly where their bases are. They have a couple of other civilian air patrols, but they do electronic countermeasure. All their missile defense and their integrated air defense systems are ran by the JSDF. So yeah,
Japan is our closest ally in the Far East, and they are fantastic.
And they don't have bombers, though. We don't feel comfortable giving them bombers. It's just too soon. Someday, but not now. Listen, last one we're going to go off on. Folks, this is it. If you planned on helping the show, I know it says we haven't hit goal. It's because last night we missed it by $200. This is it. This is your chance. If you have not had a chance to donate, now's the time. If you're waiting, if you're one of those people just like, I'm waiting for someone to chime in and help, this is your time. And I know you guys like to slow roll this, but we're going, and I've got to go. I got to get him off here in 3 minutes because I can't stand having him stay longer than 3.
I know you get a lot to look at.
No, whatever. I'd like to. I could do a 3-hour show with you. Mar-a-Lago raid on Biden. Some information we found. Do we do that? Do we do Groven, Josh Groven, and maybe it's not Josh Groven. Whoever. I always mix him up in the singer. The Goonies guy, Groven. Brolin, thanks. I always mix those two up, and they look nothing alike. I don't know why. But Brolin and Trump story. Or we could do Nancy Mace once again is, I know these victims' names, and I'm going to name them for real. So which one do you want to hear?
You know what? I got to hear about Josh Brolin.
Okay, so see if you can pick up on this. Then people can head over to thedumbshow.com/donate, help us out and hit goal. We're going to be taking off after this and giving Leeroy final word. But Josh Brolin has a Trump story that he says was really awkward and made him uncomfortable. And I'm having a hard time understanding how Donald Trump wasn't completely uncomfortable based on this story. Here it is.
The 2010 dinner you had with Oliver Stone and Donald Trump.
Yeah, at the 21 Club. That's where I met Donald Trump. That's where I became friends with Donald Trump. No longer, but yeah, it was me, Shia, Donald, Melania, and Oliver.
Outside of him lending you $20, what stands out from the night?
You know, there's a weird thing that happened, man. So we're in his apartment, and he's telling us where he was standing when he watched the towers go down. And it was a very kind of emotional, and he was emotional about it. He was like, we didn't know what was happening and this and that, and we looked that way, and this is what we saw. And I've always been super into architecture, just absolutely obsessed. So he's showing me around his apartment, and then we stopped and started talking, and it was me, Shia, the two of them, and Oliver. And I said, can I see upstairs? I said, what's upstairs? He said, our bedroom. And I said, can I see upstairs? He said, yeah. And then nobody moved. And I said, cool, so should we go up? And he said, yeah. And then he still didn't move. And I'm thinking, what the is happening? Like, it's literally, we're in the Twilight Zone now. And then there was silence. And I looked at Oliver. I'm like this. I looked at Shai. He didn't know what was going on.
Go up.
I said, so should we go up? I said it the third time. So should we go upstairs? He goes, sure. And he didn't move. And then there was silence. And I said, well, thanks for having us here. I really appreciate it. He goes, yeah, no problem. And he shook his hand and all that. It was the weirdest moment. I still get wigged out by it. I don't know what was happening.
I can explain it pretty simply. I think Leeroy can too.
Dude, go check it out. I don't have to escort you. It's probably made up like it's supposed to. Bobby Richardson donated $26.25, says, with love. Thank you so much, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby. We love you.
It was probably is every bit on the cover of, Better Homes and whatever, lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Rich and shameless.
You don't need an escort. Just go check it out.
Or
I bet you that's what it was.
It's kind of awkward, bro, that you're asking to go see the man's love chamber. I have shown people my house hundreds of times when they come over, and I have never shown anyone.
I've never seen your dungeon.
Why do you want you never saw my bedroom, did you?
No.
You saw every other thing in my house.
And that's a thing too. Like, I wouldn't ask about that. Like, hey, Matt, I'd like to see your. No.
Yeah, just show me the love machine. That's what I'm saying. I mean, for saying that
swings over the bed, I don't need to see that.
But they're not over the bed. It's a big enough room. It's actually a pretty big room. We have full standing room. Anyway, but First Care CPR, subscribe. Thank you. Just in case we have any problems, we're going to call on you first. But that's weird, right? He's sitting here saying this is strange. Thomas Griffith says, you look different, Leeroy. Well, he's rocking a real camera.
Shaved.
You're rocking, yeah, and he shaved. Paul Rivera donated, great show tonight, brothers. Wish it could be more. Waiting on the mechanic bill for my car. No, that's fine. Listen, you guys,
you're good, Paul.
Anything helps. But dude, that's a little weird. Like, you asking to see somebody's love quarters. I don't know, man. I think you're the person who's weird. And I think what Trump was doing was putting it into your hands, saying, I'm not going to say no, but you shouldn't be asking, and you're going to have to go up there on your own, because I'm not. I just think Trump was just like, I want you to get that you're stupid for asking this without telling you, and you still, years later, don't know that what you just did was dumb. Color is better. It's not the color, his color of his skin. You guys understand he's using a phone. So he's not using an SLR. He's using a phone, which is a very good phone for close up. It wouldn't work in my situation, but it works here until we get his camera. This is Leeroy in all of his glory. Isn't he just sexy? Leeroy, you get your 1 minute, man. I'm glad you picked that one. I thought that video was just strange. I was just like, dude, how do you not get it, bro?
I love Josh Brolin, but you have to imagine that everyone in Hollywood, that there is some quirks, right? There's some level of just oddities. Just given the neighborhoods that these people live in, that there are oddities that you have to figure out how people overcome. And it's cool that, that Josh Brolin could go to dinner at the drop of a hat with Oliver Stone, and I'm assuming he was talking about Shia LaBeouf.
LaBeouf. Just do it. Do it.
Yeah. To be able to hang around with that kind of Hollywood royalty is kind of cool. here's the thing, like, I don't know that I would stumble over myself with that. Like, it's cool. Like,
would
I
never
love you in
ask.
certain movies,
Yeah.
but I would talk about, like, the work. I would talk about, like, where do you pull inspiration from? How do you get these roles? You know, that kind of thing. I would never say, "Hey, man, can I see your crib?"
Yeah.
I don't wanna
Well,
see that. I don't
people
care.
people are
Weird.
asking, like, why aren't they friends anymore? Because he's a liberal. I mean, he's massive liberal. He's Hollywood. He's like a lot like Sam Elliott. He pretends he's something on screen, but different. Like Clint Eastwood is completely conservative Republican, absolutely grounded in conservative principles. Sam Elliott is a complete traitor con dick. He's horrible. He hates Trump. He hates everything about conservatives, but he's made his career off the Marlboro Man image. You know, he was a Trump supporter. He's a Trump supporter in Landman. He was a Trump supporter in The Ranch with oh god, who was that little
Ashton Kutcher.
Ashton Kutcher, yeah. So he's always been that way. He's made his money off of it, and he is a complete liberal douche plow. And so is Brolin. Brolin's the same way. He did the Bush movie. And did you feel that represented Bush properly? I mean, listen, a lot of people hated the Bush family, and I understand because I think politically they were horrible, but George Bush Jr. got a lot of bad rap. I mean, he
did. He absolutely
did. They really did not take care of him. Good to see Leeroy, that handsome man. Hope work has slowed up some. Not a chance. Leeroy, you got your minute, man. Take us out. Take us home.
You know, we were just talking about what it means to be a Hollywood liberal or that kind of thing. And I have come to the conclusion, like, I put some serious thought into every one of these programs, right? I will go out and research what it means to be this or to hold certain values. And I've come to the conclusion that liberals, well-meaning, but what their goal is to say, see that disenfranchised person over there, the government should do more to help. I can get behind that messaging. The problem is that they never seem to understand where that cutoff needs to be. What does help actually look like? Because if you're just talking about giving that person a free place to stay and, you know, a higher minimum wage, all right, now you're literally taking away from other people in order to make that happen. Versus what the government's real job, which should be just to offer equal opportunity and equal protection under the law. And if you can do that, that's about as far progressive as I think we should be. That being said, it was a wonderful night. It was a great night to be here. Thank you to everyone who donated. Bobby Richardson, Mel, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so very much.
And I look forward to being on again a little bit later on this week. And yeah, it was a great night.
Olivia's going to reach out to you and ask if you can possibly do Wednesdays instead of Tuesdays. We have a baseball conflict because it's baseball season for Ethan. She's going to reach out to you and see what you can and can't do. The answer is certainly not yes, unless you absolutely can, and it's no struggle for you. But she's going to reach out and talk to you.
Sounds good.
Daryl said Jesse Jackson was liberal and Trump was friends with him to his death. That's not true. Jesse Jackson was absolutely critical once 2016, called him a racist, said he was responsible for division, putting kids in cages, separating families at the border. Chuck Peterson, $200, $556.88. Chucky, where is our cleanup team? Let's push this over the top. Thank you so much, Chucky. We love you and we appreciate you, man. Sitting here, coming out to the house, and then getting us caught up. So thank you, my brother. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
He went after him about elections. He went after, made comparisons with him with Nazis. He's done the exact same thing. Trump even said it. He's like, listen, he lifelong supporter of Jesse Jackson, helped him with his campaign running for president, donated an ungodly amount of money to Jesse Jackson, said that they were lifelong friends, but had a lot of disagreements at the end and was not a big fan of Jesse Jackson's platform and vice versa, but still had a mutual respect for each other. So friends, very different than mutual respect for each other. But Brolin, the Hollywood left is not, they're not liberals. They're progressives and they are socialists. Yeah. They hate the system. They are the furthest thing from classical liberals. They are not. So you're told to hate people in Hollywood and who you can and cannot like. And if you stray from that, you essentially don't do anything.
Yeah,
you're out.
You'll never work again.
Yeah, that's the way it is. All right, guys, listen, we're out of here tonight. Chucky, thank you for saving the day, and thank you for everyone who also contributed. There were some big contributions tonight, made us up for the week. Hopefully we don't have to do that. We can just keep doing the 300
you guys
a night.
Are the best.
Yeah,
Thank you
are
so
the best.
much.
We do appreciate you. Leeroy, I will see you on Thursday either way, my brother, and God bless. Take it easy and stay frosty, man, okay?
Peace out, homies. Love you guys.
All right, good night, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Olivia and I will be on the show. We'll see you then.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.